Hey, this is Ethan, and I made a mintmind, which is a Fedimint Q&A bot. So there's a link in the README of the GitHub repo, which we'll get to shortly. But you can go to learnfedimint.com. Again, that's learnfedimint.com, and ask it questions about Fedimint, and it will give you an answer. And it should be relatively accurate based on the training data that I gave it. So that's cool. We'll go play around with it. Let's talk about the code though, because that's the most interesting part. Well, first we'll go. You can find the repo. So Ethan Tuttle, no A in Ethan, Fedimint chatbot. You can find me in the Fedimint repo as well. I'm one of the contributors there. So all the code is hosted here, and yeah, so go there if you check it out. But let's get into the actual code. So we have the layout here of a bunch of audio files that I transcribed using the OpenAI Whisper software. And then that gave us a bunch of cool text files, right? So transcripts for those text files. And we took the fedimint.org documentation and we put the markdown files in here for data to train our LLM context on. And so, yeah, let's jump into index.js, right? So we read in some API keys from our environment. We're hosting an Express server. But before we hosted the Express server, we were running just a regular node process to sort of create this mintmind, as I call it. We needed an index name that we're going to push up to the Pinecone database that we use. It's like a database in cloud for vector databases. And yeah, we had to give the dimension size, and we had to create it once. This is kind of like a no-op if it's already created, so no big deal. This is where some of the magic sauce starts coming in, though, is we have a directory loader. So you point out a directory, right? So our data directory where all of our text files were, and it went through and it vectorized and created whatever directory loaders do to all that text data. And then it created a giant array of those in the docs. And then after we had that docs array of all the contextual loaded text files, we're going to go into this update Pinecone, which will do the actual chunking of the data and splitting of the data and creating OpenAI embeddings, because that's ultimately the API we're going to use. So it sort of like pieces all this up and does all the behind the scenes LLM math, so that way it's relevant to an LLM. And then we upsert it, right? So this is nice because we can kind of update our database as we go with more data as it comes out. And yeah. And then following that, we go down here, and before I just had hard-coded questions, but now it's hooked up to question to read a question from a post response, and then it does this query Pinecone vector store and query LLM, where it goes into the Pinecone vector store and it takes the top 10 results based on the question. So like look in this vector database and look for the nearest results in this giant corpus of data, and then we feed those this query response. We take those and we feed them into the we take the matches of those, right? And we have now concatenated page content, and then we feed them into this chain, this load QA stuff chain that is using an OpenAI LLM. So once we load into the chain with a specific question, we get a result back out that is the answer, and we surface that back up to the user in this very, very minimalistic website. But that is mintmind. I appreciate you and your time, and I hope you have an above average rest of your day, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time it might be for you. I hope it's above average because that's all you need for a smile. Take care.